going to give you a little backstory to who he is. His roster of clients includes celebrities such as Chrissy Teigen, Jordan Dunn, Kim Kardashian West, Joan Smalls. He's even worked on Naomi Campbell, guys. But his most famous face he's worked on is one person. Who knows who that is? He's been in the business for 19 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir John Bonnet.
Thank you so much. Hey guys. Hello. Hey Nigeria. Yo, I'm so happy to be here, and you guys are such a vibe and a mood that I want to stay. I don't want to go. I don't want to leave. What's up? So I'm gonna start with makeup first. I'm gonna start with beauty, and then I'm gonna taper into a conversation. But I'm an open book. Please talk to me about whatever you want to talk about. Literally, I'm an open book. But I do feel like I need to start the face first. What's up, man? Hey. So I'm not sure if you guys know, but Toby's from Nigeria. She's a Nigerian zone, and Toby actually is the face of my campaign in South Africa. I have a collection with Woolworths South Africa, and Toby is one of the beautiful models. And I really was like, please, can you make it? So she's here, and I'm happy, and we're gonna get started. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start with eyes, and we're gonna go into complexion. I'm gonna talk to you a bit about like my aesthetic and the aesthetic of just beauty in general, the atmosphere, and yeah, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Cool. So
Okay.
so please feel free, go in, come around, do all of that,
Okay.
all those things.
So I'm just kind of going to linger around you.
Yes,
See
please.
what you're doing. And
Linger.
maybe learn a few things as well.
Do as much as you need. I'm gonna start with doing something I like to call spotlight eyes. You guys heard about Coachella or anything like that? Yeah? Okay, so I love working in stadiums and stadium lighting and how light reflects off the face. It tells so much a story about a woman's, where she wants to go and how she wants to feel with the way she embraces the light. When I say embraces the light, you need to make sure that your skin is light reflective, your eyes are light reflective, even your lips can absorb light or reflect it. And so we're gonna do a lot of that right now. Cool? They're having a party next door, I hear. There's a party going on right now, right? Cool, so what we're gonna do is we can take this, I'm gonna use some of these guys, all of that, right there, bam. Okay, cool. So, do you wanna go? Let's go first.
Okay. So let's see, what are you doing now?
So right now, I'm getting started. Close your eyes for me. I'm using a liner on the eyes. I'm going for the eyes first, and then I'm gonna go into skin. I do eyes before I do anything else, because it's so much easier to work with.
Why eyes first? Some makeup artists do foundation first before the eyes.
Yeah.
Or the eyebrows. Why do you do eyes first?
So I basically got started in the business assisting. Can you guys see really well? I'm not sure if you can see. Is there a monitor for you guys to see at all? You can have.
Yeah.
Okay, great, fantastic.
Okay.
So I started by assisting Pat and Charlotte and Charlotte Tilbury. And when you're backstage working at the
Okay, 1 second, Pat.
Pat McGrath.
Okay, Pat McGrath, guys, not just Pat. And Charlotte who?
Charlotte Tilbury.
Okay.
So yeah. So when you're working backstage, you need to work quickly. Like the reason I'm even here, the reason I guess my clients like me is because I save them time. And then time is money. If you're a makeup artist and you spend a lot of time on a look, the editors, the publicist, the celebrity is going to always find someone who can do it a bit quicker. And it doesn't matter if you're one of the best makeup artists in the world. You know why I'm here? I guess what keeps me in business is not so much what I do with my hands, it's your personality. Like if you have something to add to a conversation, if you're a source of pleasure or to be around, people will campaign for you. They'll fight for you. They'll pay your rates, fly you whatever you need to do, just because you impact their energy, if that makes any sense.
They love being around you, basically.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people, especially in our business, neglect to realize how important your personality or the vibes you give off are so impactful, So right now, just to multitask, we're doing an eye. I'm using a pencil on the lid all over, and then I'm going to go and smudge this into a beautiful base, and then I'm going to pack a shadow on top of it. Ladies, it's all about layering. So when I say layering, you have to realize, especially, it's so humid here. Guys, it's so humid here. I lost 5 pounds on the way to the stadium. And you have to realize that duality makes like a Teflon face. So when I say duality, how does Beyonce keep her face on for a 2-hour show? When she's dancing, she's sweating, she's doing all that thing. It's because I'm constantly building the face up. I'm using a cream blush and a powder blush. I'm using cream liners and packing powder shadows on top of them. foundations that are liquid or cream, and I'm buffing a powder foundation or powder, loose powder on top of it. But that duality creates a Teflon, almost like a bulletproof face, you know? Close your eyes. My favorite part of this is going to actually be when I'm done with the look and I can sit and talk to you about the business and all that kind of stuff. But I love questions. So whoever engages me the most, if I have an engaged audience, I have more fun. So whoever talks to me the most, I have a couple Lion King pieces that I created with Disney this summer to give out. And also, whoever talks to me the most, you can come in and take whatever you want to out of my kit. And some of these brushes have touched some really cool faces, guys, and have some really cool moments.
Okay, so we're going in with the purple liner now.
Purple pencil first, and this is going to be, this is basically the primer for my eyeshadow. I know it sounds crazy, but this is going to be what I'm using to make sure the shadow stays on all day.
Okay.
And you want to make sure that you blend it into like nothingness, because that will give whatever, if it's not blended, the shadow sticks on it and it just stays anchored to that area. So you want to make sure that you give a really smooth blend first. So now we're going to go directly with a little bit of color. I'm going to use, I'm going to have some fun with some purple. So we're going to go here. And all the fellas in the audience, this is really good intel to learn, just to talk, you know, to have something to talk to your ladies about later. You might actually get a point or two by talking about something that she's really familiar with.
Makeup.
So do you have any questions for me in the meantime?
Okay, so I'll start with questions. I was actually going to wait till after you're done. Okay. So let's talk about how you got started in makeup.
Yeah, I got started in makeup when I was, I want to say, I was in school for art since I was 6 years old. My mom got me in school for painting when I was young. And I went to an arts high school. Went to an arts high school, went to college for art in Atlanta for a very short amount of time. I actually had to leave school and dropped out a little bit early because I couldn't afford it. And then I started to work at the Mac counter in Atlanta. They sent me to New York City when I was like 19 or 18. And 19, I'm sorry, thank you so much. And then I stayed with Mac for a while. And then after I stayed with Mac, I let go of Mac. Actually, Mac let go of me. I got fired when I was 23 for being late.
You got fired?
Yeah, for being late, for being tardy. And then I started to do the windows at Barney's in Bergdorf Goodman in New York. Okay. And I met Pat McGrath's assistant. And I started working with that whole circuit. She asked me, "Hey, listen, are you going to be in Italy you're going to be in Milan for the Italian shows 2 weeks later?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be there." Mind you, I had no passport, no way to get to the Milan. And but at the time, I was doing makeup in a strip club in Queens at night. And the girls basically twerked me all the way to Milan, you know. And
twerked you all the way to Milan.
And they sent me to Europe for the first time. I stayed with Pat for a while. She sent me to Naomi's hotel room. Naomi was the first client I ever had. And then I met Beyonce at 2010 at Tom Ford's first women's wear show. We're going to keep that by. Actually, keep that by. Come closer. Come, keep it with you. Come on. And then after I met B, I stayed with her for a bit, but I kept moving. I got a contract with L'Oreal Paris. I've actually had the longest cosmetics contract of any makeup artist in the world.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, I kept going, kept doing my thing. I got a television show on Lifetime. I'm sorry I can't look you guys in the audience. I'm just trying to multitask.
You're busy, that's fine.
And then, I kept it going, just kept it moving, and just, you know, you're never really satisfied. My mom's never satisfied. You know that Prince song, Your Mother's Never Satisfied? That's my mom, y'all. And so I basically have that sensibility, and now I'm producing, I produced a line of a collection with Disney this summer. So Disney came calling and said, "Hey, we want you to create a collection, you know, based off of The Lion King." And I was like, okay. And so I did. I had to find a manufacturer. I find a company to actually produce it with me. When I say produce it, that means to, you know, do the heavy lifting and the manufacturing, the product development.
The design and all of that.
Yeah.
What kind of colors went into it?
So I did the design. I actually did, you know, that part myself. But they were the ones who did most of the lifting and paid for everything. And then we brought it to the stores, and it sold really well this summer. It did really well. It actually had 1.9 billion impressions in the first 60 days in terms of press.
That's amazing.
Which is awesome.
That's absolutely amazing.
And so, yeah, I just keep it moving. And actually, I'm going to go and produce my own cosmetics. I found a great investor I love to work with. So, yeah, that's kind of where I am at the moment.
Okay. So next question. Come on, guys, clap. You can do better than that. Come on. Come on. Okay, so you work in a very European industry, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know yet, right?
Yes, European,
Okay.
absolutely.
European-dominated industry.
For sure, 100%.
Okay, so what's it like being a black man at the level that you are in that industry? How do you keep the clients you keep? How
Yeah.
do you make the people trust you and trust your skill set?
Well, there are two different things happening. So, being a black person in the business that happens is kind of isolating, because when, there would be a long time I would be on sets for, working with Mario Testino or Steven Meisel with Pat, and you would see no people of color. I would see an Asian nail tech possibly once in a month or twice in a month. But so at some point that kind of takes a toll on your psychology, and you feel like, okay, well, where I'm from isn't cool enough because it's, I'm not French, I'm not British, or that kind of, they have that sense of nationalism and they like to hire each other. So it was a thing where I didn't always, also, look up for me. My book had to appear like I wasn't a person of color at some point. I was with Streeters, the agency, and Streeters is the same agency that Pat McGrath is on. So I was with Streeters, the agency, and my agent told me, hey, listen, we're gonna have to take out Naomi and Jordan Dunn and Joan and maybe a picture of B or two and put in some models that are Eastern European. So it looks, so it translates well across the pond. And I know what that means. That means that you need to appear less ethnic
More diverse.
And so not even more diverse, because diversity and inclusion is a whole different conversation. And this was basically, I had to modify. And so modifying kind of takes a toll on you when you're 24, 25 years old, and you don't necessarily you're not anchored in self. No one is anchored in self at 23 or 24. So, but I come from a really strong family, and I love being black, and I champion it. And I never really wanted to run away from it. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure that I represented us in the best way, in the most prestigious way possible. There are not so many people, if you think about it. How many makeup artists of color are at the level where everyone knows them globally? You only have Pat McGrath. There's no other black makeup artist in the world that's big, and that's a sad thing that I'm not proud of. And even also when you think about diversity, it doesn't just happen in front of the lens, it happens behind the lens as well. Think about the photographers. When you see a photographer, when you see someone who actually creates the images that we ingest, they create photos that are the timeline or the storyline of most of our existence. When you look at the Calvin Klein campaigns, the Tom Ford, Gucci ads, all of these are shot by European men. And so they're not, there are no men of color behind the scenes or women of color. So that also kind of takes a toll on your psyche. But I was one of the people who was a part of the Vogue cover with Beyonce, or Tyler shot that. So
that was really big.
Hopefully change is coming. It's not here quick enough. But I'm helping to usher it in, and by being authentic. The most thing you can do, the only thing I can do is be completely authentic and also just champion diversity and inclusion. I think, but also this is the golden age of diversity and inclusion. Yeah. Like it's never been this good. It's never been this aware, And that awareness doesn't come from fashion. It doesn't come from beauty. If we were waiting on the fashion industry or the beauty industry to be inclusive, we would still be waiting. It's because social media is so democratic that democracy that you guys have, the voice that you guys have has propelled us forward, not so much the business.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so you kind of do my job for me because you kind of touched on the two next questions that I have for you. Okay, what role do you feel social media has in making the industry more inclusive and more diverse? You kind of just spoke about that a little bit.
The thing is, everyone has a voice now. Everyone's voice is heard, and when I say everyone's voice is heard, you can see proof of that when a brand like Gucci or whoever is tone deaf, or they don't have as many opinions in the boardroom, and social media drags a company or says a concealer release is not inclusive because right now we're in the post-Fenty era of makeup, and so if you're a company and you come out with makeup and you don't have shades for every complexion or diverse shades, the women are going to drag you, and it's going to be suicide for your business. So that alone is just showing that the change is here. It's being ushered in by a younger generation of people who lead by example, if that makes any sense. I have to work and talk. I have a problem working and talking.
Okay. So I think this is really important. For someone who's been in business for 19 years and has touched some of the most famous faces in the world, how do you keep evolving and how do you keep staying relevant for 19 years? And how do you keep being Beyonce's makeup artist for almost a decade?
Yeah. So the thing is, for 19 years, I wasn't on top for 19 years. I used to carry luggage. I wasn't always at a place where I had assistants and things like that. That happened later. But I'm persistent, and I know what I wanted, and I had an unwavering faith in myself. One thing I love about Nigerians that I've realized about you guys, you have this inherent confidence that you can just see. It doesn't matter what class of people or how much you make. It just seems like in the DNA of your brand or in your soul, you're just confident. And I believe I have a little bit of that, and that allows you to power through when you don't necessarily feel like companies are rallying around you or people are not always noticing your work, you know? But it's really about your personality. I'm going to go back to that. You know, there's so many makeup artists who do amazing, amazing work, hairstylists who do beautiful work, but they're not a source that people don't want to be around them. You know, so really it's about your personality, it's about your vibration. And I'm a bit of a feminist in a sense where I just love to empower women every day. I come from a really strong mom, so I want to bring some of that back and make sure that they feel confident and lifted whenever they go into a boardroom, a meeting, a runway, or a stadium full of 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium, Stade de France, whatever that looks like.
Okay.
What's up?
What is that? Okay, so what are we doing over here now?
So right now I'm taking a deep navy liner.
Okay, so we're still on the eyes.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to work quicker. I'm sorry. Deep navy liner, and then I'm going underneath the lash line. Close your eyes, babe. And this is a waterproof liner. The reason I'm using a waterproof liner is that and I use this waterproof liner on the lid, and that works as a primer. Ladies, in a humid climate like this, if you use a waterproof eyeliner as a base for your eyeshadow, it's going to almost be a waterproof eye. Like, you can swim in this eye and it won't come off.
I think the problem with waterproof eyeliner is getting it off. It's all nice and good when you're putting it on.
Those are called champagne problems, babe. Those are called champagne problems.
But getting it off is a nightmare.
That means that your liner works so well that it's hard to remove it. But an oil cleanser.
It's a Joan Doe.
Oh, okay. An oil cleanser is going to be what you want to use. And also, an oil cleanser is not as aggressive. It's not going to damage or ravage your eye. Right now, I'm using a little bit of a glitter eyeliner just to go in and get a bit funkier.
How do you pick to put the blue on the purple?
Everything is organic in the sense where there's no rules, and I know that these two families go together. I can see purple flecks inside of this, so it's all about creating a story. And when I say creating a story, ladies, if you're good with, your wardrobe, if you consider yourself to be fashionable, you're creating a story every time you get dressed.
Definitely.
Your home. I went to a really beautiful home the other day. Can I say? I went to Shigan's home the other day, and it's beautiful. But what I realized, it's a story. Whenever you go into the most beautiful homes, when you see some of the people who are dressed amazingly well or do their makeup really well, it's creating a story. And that story cascades not just on your face from forehead to chin, but outward.
Okay.
So now we're going to go into brows. I'm going to do a little bit of skin. I'm going to skip lashes because I want to spend more time with skin, guys, and show you a bit more about how I think we can all elevate our application of foundation, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I really want to go into more questions, but I want you to be able to concentrate.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Okay, cool. Talk to me.
Okay.
And can I get see?
Okay, so when I was doing my research on you, I saw that Beyonce is essentially your muse. Is that correct?
I've been with her. I spent most of my time with her.
Yeah.
She's a great woman, and also I just love really strong women. Like, in general,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of really docile women. I think that I grew up around a really strong, opinionated mom, and I love strength in women like Serena Williams or B or they inspire me to be a better man. If that makes any sense.
And she's definitely pushed feminism and strength and all of that forward in the past 5 years or so.
Yeah.
But how other than her being strong, why is she your muse?
Why is she my muse? She puts up with my bullshit, I guess.
Huh? She puts up with your...
I said she puts up with my BS.
Yeah.
No, I understand her, and she understands me in a way where I'm not a yes person. I'm not, even though she's it's hard to tell these women who are, Serena or B or Margot Robbie, no, we're not going to do this look, or no, I don't think you should wear that, or no, that idea just doesn't work, it's not flattering. But you just have to have confidence, and she allows me to be me in that space, and I'm not a yes man, and she respects it, and that's why I'm still there.
Okay, awesome.
But, and also, we're the same age, we met, and I don't know, it's just a vibe, you just got to get a vibe with certain people. You get a vibe with your chef, you get a vibe with the guy who cuts your hair. And if you have a vibe with somebody who works with you in that way, keep them around. You know, I've been with her for about 10 years. I mean, there's another person who does her face, you know, when I'm not around, like to do stuff. But also, you have to have the security to walk away from a client and know that they're not going to go anywhere. You know, so I'm secure enough to just, you know, if she has some other things happening, I know if there's ever a cover story or a major video, it's going to be me. So, you know, you have to have confidence to be able to walk away.
Yeah, that's a lot of confidence.
If you don't, your clients can sense that insecurity, and it's just never a good look for you. You know. Can I have this guy right here? Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Cool.
Your assistant is so calm. He's just like.
Isa?
Okay, so what are we doing now?
So right now I'm using a bit of concealer.
Okay.
I'm using concealer with a fluffy brush, and I'm not using a concealer with a sponge like, you know, because this right here allows you to shape the eye. This is great for eyes that are becoming more mature. Even though Toby is young and she's a baby and she doesn't have any kids, no divorces yet and anything like that. I love mature women. I love women who are like, I grew up around old women, you know, like my grandmother and her girlfriends. I was the man at bingo with them. So I love when a face is changing, you have to offer different solutions to an ever-changing face, if that makes any sense. Can I get an amen from anyone over 35 in the audience? All right. And so if you notice, I'm using this fluffy brush, and I'm using a minimal amount of product. Ladies, you don't need a ton of foundation. I think that you should work with areas that you need to give a little bit more love and coverage to, but areas that you don't, let them breathe. You should see freckles. You should see pores. It's organic. It's human. It's kind of sexy in today's Instagram beat era to actually see a little bit of face that's not manipulated by so much product.
That's actually something I wanted to ask you. Someone like Beyonce, she wears makeup, but her makeup's so minimal that sometimes I find myself like looking, like, is she wearing makeup? Is she not? Like, I can't really tell.
Well, yeah, that's the goal. I think the reason that, you know, the reason that I'm here, can I see that concealer that I use right there? I think it's this one there. Yeah, perfect. Sorry about that.
How do you do that as you said, in an age where it's all about contour, highlight, you know, everything is just like out there? How do you keep it very minimal without feeling pressure to kind of do more and just like beat her face?
Well, you know, this is the thing. So B took me from an area of the business that if I use a lot of foundation on a set, you know, with like a job like Vanity Fair or Annie Leibovitz, and if the photographer can see the foundation that I've applied, I will never get called back. If they can see concealer, I wouldn't have a career. So for me, you have to make sure your skin looks invisible. When I say your skin should be invisible, you shouldn't see product on the skin. It's not sexy. It doesn't look expensive. It looks cheap. I hate to say that word. But you want to make sure if you can do a lot of eye, do a lot of lip, do a beautiful blush, but your skin should be aspirational. And aspirational skin doesn't look like, you can't spot it and see product. Ladies, if your girlfriend comes up to you and says, oh my God, I love your foundation, as soon as she sees you,
there's a problem.
That means you need to taper back.
Okay, absolutely no shade here, but I read that you worked with...
All tea, all shade.
All tea, all shade. I read that you worked with Kim Kardashian West.
I have. I've worked with her like twice,
Okay, so how do you work with someone like Beyonce who's more minimal on the makeup, you know, spectrum, and someone like Kim Kardashian who's very heavy on her makeup? Like, did you have a problem doing that?
Yeah, you know, I love this question, and I wasn't prepared for it, but I'm going to answer it, and I'll tell you why. So for example, even Mariah Carey, and this, I'm going to get on record saying this. Like, I went to Mariah's house one time, guys, right? And Mariah needs more of a beat than more than I could give her comfortably. And I have this philosophy, you need to bring them into your world. I'm not going to go into their world. When I say that, that means that if I don't feel comfortable as an artist giving a fuller face or fuller coverage like that, I'm not going to do it just because the client is amazing, just because they're paying me a lot of money. And if I know I'm going to fail, I know it's not part of my brand, I know that that work is going to live on. So I'm only going to do what I feel comfortable and I know I can just just do the best job possible. You know what I mean, right? And that's knowing your brand, that's knowing what you stand for, that's knowing the DNA of why they're calling you. So I wasn't for Mariah, and she's liked me, but I couldn't give her what she needed. Kim likes me and I like Kim, but yeah, that's a whole other conversation. You
have to stay true to like the DNA of your brand and your aesthetics.
Absolutely.
Completely understandable.
But respectfully so. There's a way to say everything. There's a way to do everything. And diplomacy is key, guys. Like as a makeup artist, as a beauty professional, as someone who works in the business, whenever you have to deliver news that's, you know, not always yes or whatever they want to hear, you have to be just diplomatic. And what that comes from is a sense of, calm, understanding the person. I think knowing any person who wants to work in fashion, anyone who wants to work in this industry in general, knowing more about people than you know about textiles is important. Know more about people than you know about an eyeshadow or an application of a haircut or whatever that looks like. You'll go so much farther. You'll have a longer career.
Definitely.
Okay, so now we're going to contour up a bit now. So I'm going to go in with, and sometimes, you know what? Guess what? I left my foundation at home. So guess what I'm doing right now? I'm using concealer as foundation, but I'm using, can I see the sponge, the beauty blender? Okay, perfect. Is there one in that's wet? Yeah.
How many beauty blenders do you have? And why do you have so many? Do they do different things? I'm asking for all my makeup people here.
They don't do different things, but turn this way. I have a lot of brushes too because it's kind of like my comfort zone. I feel really comfortable when I have a lot of my little helpers behind me. Some of these brushes I've had since I was 19.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They're clean. And so if you notice, I'm using a wet sponge. And the reason I'm using a sponge that's so wet is because this goes on gives it more of an organic appearance. It doesn't look heavy or lacquered on. And I'm building like a halo of deep warmth around the perimeter, and I'm going a bit lighter in the center of the face.
So does a sponge work better than a brush?
I like both, but in the application of foundation, I feel like a wet beauty blender or a wet egg sponge is the softest application. It's going to blend really well. Even if you make a mistake, have one of these just around to shape up your contour after you're done, just to give yourself the illusion of lifting your cheekbones or whatever that looks like after you're done. This is like your magic eraser. Turn this way. Can I see some more of this? So can I kick it over to the audience right now?
Okay. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask Sir John?
And the darker one. Let's go for the darkest one. Yeah. And that one you gave me a second ago. The one you gave me a second. Hey, what's up? Yeah, that.
Okay, so introduce yourself and then ask what
My
you
name
want
is
to
Nwaka.
Okay.
What's your name?
Nwaka.
Nwaka?
Nwakego.
Hey, nice to see you. How are you? I like your shirt.
I'm good.
I have a
you.
baseball cap that looks just like it.
Maybe you can hand it over to me.
But
So, in your interview with Sally Hughes, you talked about contouring as against sculpting.
yeah.
So I want you to elaborate on that.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Is this normal?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Sorry.
Can you speak a little louder? I'm sorry, I didn't know
I
this.
said, when you spoke with Sally Hughes, in your interview with Sally Hughes, you spoke about sculpting as against contouring. I would like you to elaborate on that. That's my first question.
Did you get that?
Yeah, so Sally Hughes. Sally Hughes is a really credited, amazing beauty blogger, author in London. You guys know Sally Hughes, yeah? And she's a great friend, and I like her because she's a little bit of a spitfire, and I didn't know what I was going to expect, but we've totally vibed and hit it off the right way. And in terms of sculpting and contouring, that's what you want to know? Sculpting, contouring. So what specifically would you like to know about sculpting and contouring?
You mentioned, I believe she was talking about contouring as people trying to get their features to look more European.
Oh,
and you said you would rather sculpting.
Yeah.
So can you spot the difference better for us?
Oh my God, you're such a good point. Thank you for this.
Do I get to win
Hey,
anything?
so can I tell you, so to your point, I was in South Africa, I was in Johannesburg, I did a master class, and someone said to me, they were like, well, listen, Sir John, why is everyone in America so obsessed with making features a bit more European in terms of contouring and sculpting? And I never thought about it before that, and I was like, whoa, okay. Well, shit, I guess that's what it seems like. But so it changed the way I did contouring, and I started to sculpt the face. And the only thing I'm looking for when I sculpt is to give a beautiful photo. It's not to streamline a nose, it's not to make things skinnier or more European, because the goal for me as a makeup artist is not to homogenize everyone's beauty. I don't want everyone to look alike. That's not the goal. And I think part of the problem, part of the I don't want to say a problem, part of where we are as a society where everyone's getting injectables and fillers and things. I live in LA. I'm a New Yorker, but I live in Los Angeles. The problem is that everyone's starting to look alike, and so I think the best thing you can do is start to love the features that you have, and whatever you can do to make sure that you stand out from everyone else, do that. Not streamlining it. So, but I'm in a culture where all they care about is looking alike. So coming here was kind of a breath of fresh air because everyone wants to embrace the difference. Everyone loves the nuances of their complexion, of their features, and wants to make them separate them, if that makes any sense. Yeah?
Yes.
So hopefully,
I love that.
I learned a bit from the South African market in that standpoint. Hey, what's up, bro?
Then the second question.
Oh yeah.
Okay, second question is, could you please walk us through the process of designing for a fashion designer, making a look for a runway? Like, does it start with a call? Does it start with you shooting your shot? Like, from start to finish, when do you know that you've hit the ball out of the park?
Yeah.
Walk us through the process,
Well,
please.
this is the thing. When you go to a show, when you're backstage at a show, you have no time. It's almost like this. Like me running my mouth right now and not actually applying makeup is a bad thing. But one thing I wanted to let you know is that every show is so different. It's vastly different because every designer's idea of beauty, every designer's idea of what is cool for spring, summer, fall, winter is going to be in a novel direction. So sometimes you go to a show and all they want is moisturizer and just a little bit of tint on the lid. And then sometimes you go to a show and they want you to do full-on glamour. So it really depends on who the designer is, what city you're in. So I can't really say specifically. However, where I'm walking you now is kind of my direction I would go into. Like I keyed the Tommy Hilfiger show, and we did the Tommy Hilfiger show at the Apollo this year, which was like fucking amazing. I think it was great. And being at the Apollo and starting to do that thing, you know, you start to pull references. You start to, it's almost like cooking. It's almost like draping a house, or it's almost like, creating a gown. You start to create a story in your head of where do I want this woman to go? Where is she already going? Who is she? And how can I take her on a journey that's just a bit more evolved than she's already been, if that makes any sense. And so if everyone does, you guys have been doing your makeup in the morning every day since you were probably 15 years old. By the time you're 25 years old or 30 years old, it's a mundane experience. You're tired of it. It's just something you need to do and get over with. But if you start to change your routine, if you start to add small different shortcuts into your makeup regime, it starts to become something that's a self-fulfilling ritual that's uplifting and not just a mundane chore,
Should we take another question?
Hello.
Okay.
Hi. My name is Chinelo.
Is there one more like this? Oh. I'm sorry. Hey, what's up?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are
I
you?
must commend you. You are a fantastic multitasker. Little man can't do that.
Thank you, babe. I appreciate it. From your lips to God's ears.
Okay. I can see that you didn't use any primer on this lady's face.
I didn't use any primer, no.
Okay. Why is that? Could you explain?
Yeah, so I have a philosophy, right? And so I feel like you don't necessarily, everything is about the skincare level. If you're using a mattifying moisturizer, which I did, it's going to keep your foundation anchored a bit longer. So for me, it wasn't about using a primer that might change the texture of the foundation. I want to use as minimal product as possible because I wanted her skin to just glow. Like once we're done with this, I want the skin to just look like butter. And sometimes a primer can manipulate and change that. However, I'm not against them. Like for concerts, if I'm in concert or a Super Bowl or whatever, I'm using a primer. I need to use a primer, trust me. So it's a case-by-case scenario. It's like it depends on what your skin type is. Some women are very, very sensitive, and that sensitivity, using another layer of product on top of their skin just may be a problem.
Okay. Did you get your answer?
Yeah, I did. But what would you say about, in terms of makeup? There are a lot of times I go without makeup because I've successfully been able to have my skin at the way it should be.
Okay.
So is it advisable that a lady always has makeup on or just lets her face breathe?
I totally don't believe that women have to wear. I don't think you should be a slave to anything. And when I say slave to anything, don't wear a bra every day. Don't wear it's not something, you don't have to wear anything every day that inhabits your sense of ease or your how comfortable you are through your day. You should also let your skin breathe. If you're running errands, throw on some big sunglasses, throw on bigger hair. And don't throw on foundation, if that makes any sense. I think you should let your skin breathe. Because some foundations are great. Cosmetics are a beautiful thing. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But I do also think that you should allow your skin to just breathe and allow your husband to see you without makeup. Allow your best friends and your girlfriends to see you without a full face all the time. Because if they don't, and they start to, they don't even know who they've been talking to for the last 6 years.
Any more questions?
Hello.
Whoa, that's a deep voice. Hey.
Good day,
What's
sir.
up, brother? What's up, man?
I want to say welcome back home, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All
I
right.
appreciate that.
I have a question from
Yes.
home
Please. For who?
for you.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
So I want to find out what product can you do without?
What products can I do without?
Yeah.
Primers, color correctors. A lot of women love color correctors. I feel like color correctors are okay, but I feel like if you're making sure that you have a really great skincare routine, also sometimes do a little bit of microdermabrasion, get a chemical peel every once in a while, you won't have the need to have so many things covering your face. So for me, instead of things leaving away, I'll tell you what, I only use a little bit of loose powder, a tiny bit of foundation where we need it, and then massive amounts of eyes, a lot of lips.
Okay, if somebody is to wear makeup all day, how do the person put it on so that it doesn't slip off? Please.
Doesn't slip off,
product?
right? So if you're wearing makeup all day, how do you do it so it doesn't slip off? And that goes, the good question, that's a really good question. And it's kind of the age-old question, and I don't think any of us have it completely figured out yet, but the goal is to make sure that you are not doing things that's gonna make your skin oxidize. When I say oxidize, if you go in with your foundation and then take your Studio Fix, ladies, you know what Studio Fix is, right? So taking your Studio Fix and then putting that all on top of your face, it's great, but that Studio Fix is gonna oxidize and it's gonna create a layer of slip. And by lunch, your skin is gonna be super oily. It won't have any, it's not gonna adhere to your skin. So the more your skin can breathe, the longer your foundation will stay. If that makes any sense. If your skin can't breathe, if your pores can't bring in oxygen, it's gonna look for it and it's gonna make your foundation lift, if that makes any sense. And what you're trying to do, you're aiming for, it actually will be counterproductive. There's some beautiful faces in this audience, y'all.
All right, sir. Finally, what is the most memorable job you have ever done, sir?
Wow.
I feel like that's pretty easy.
Wow, you tell me. What do you think my most memorable job would be?
Let's see, Super Bowl. Super Bowl?
Super Bowl was fun.
Yeah?
Super Bowl was fun, yeah. But I think my most memorable job would have been, I think Lemonade was great, the album in general. Also,
Okay, that was my second option.
I think also, I remember the hype and the buzz and how everyone felt during the Vogue cover that was shot by this young black guy for September issue. That was fun. Also, this summer, I've never cried as much in my life because Disney dragged me to hell. It was really extremely challenging in terms of a project. I got a phone call from Disney about a year ago, and they said, hey, listen, we want you to do cosmetics. We want you to do Lion King cosmetics. And I was like, well, guys, if you're looking for Beyonce, you got to go to her. I'll give you her publicist's information. And they were like, no, we want you. We want your expertise. So I called the manufacturer. I called a company I know, this company called Luminous. And I was like, hey, guys, can you do this in terms of the manufacturing, in terms of bringing this to the market with me? And we decided to do it. But so I'm most proud of the Disney collection that we did last summer and the one I have in South Africa with Woolworths. I'm working on my third collection, and there will be 6 total.
Awesome.
Hello. Hello, my name is Binkwe.
Okay.
What's your name, babe?
My name is Binkwe.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, what's up?
So I want to ask, what do you do to an oily face?
What do I do to what?
To an oily face.
Oily face.
That's a really good
What
question.
do I do to an
need
oily
that as
face?
well.
Yeah, so it goes back to skincare. I was never one of these people who believed in oils because my skin is so oily you can fry an egg on my forehead. I like to use an oil by a company called Sunday Riley. Sunday Riley, write this down, it's the best oil in the world for oily skin. It cancels out oil, cancels out any things that actually start to create bacteria that causes pimples. So that would be something I would suggest. Also, drinking a lot of water. Make sure that you're balancing your diet. Sometimes your diet can throw off how your skin is acting. Making sure you have an anti-inflammatory diet. I don't want to get too deep, guys, but have a holistic approach to your diet. Drink more celery juice or kale. Kale has 600% of vitamin K. Vitamin K speeds up circulation. If you ever see dark circles in the mirror, all that is sluggish circulation. So certain things like even drinking beet juice. Beet juice is great because it cleanses your blood, it cleanses your liver, it detoxifies and tones your liver. So those things actually can impact your complexion as a whole and have nothing to do with makeup.
Okay, thank you. Secondly, please, we ladies at the back, we want to say to you that you're so cute.
I appreciate that, babe. I so appreciate that.
Shooting your shot.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions?
Did you say shooting your shot?
Hi. Hi, good evening. My name is Ade Damola.
Yeah?
And I just wanted to ask you, is it really okay to go on a heavy look makeup without touching your brows at all?
So right now, if you notice, I haven't done brows at all. Sometimes I like to bleach brows away. I know that sounds crazy, right? But sometimes brows are overrated at times. But yeah, I'm gonna go and do brows. But at sometimes, if you don't feel like you need a brow, you know, even in fashion, they bleach brows away so we can see more of the eye. But I'm gonna bring them back. I kind of working in a really haphazard direction right now, but I'm gonna bring them back before I leave. Am I doing good on time, guys?
Yeah, we have about 18 minutes.
Okay.
So we're good.
Okay, and I also wanted to know, is there any makeup you've done for any of your clients that you actually regretted what you did or you were not satisfied with?
A deeper powder like this guy here. Say that one more time, love.
Is there any job you've gone for, like a makeup job, and you were not satisfied with what you delivered to your clients? Like maybe you didn't like the makeup you did or the look or how it was looking, or you didn't like your client's reaction to your job?
That's such a good question. So basically, your question is, has there ever been a job that I've gone on that I didn't like the makeup or the client didn't like the makeup?
Yes,
yeah?
or you didn't like the makeup.
And I'm such a perfectionist that I wouldn't like it before the client even knew that it was going in a bad direction. And no, seriously. But when that happens, like sometimes, you know, for example, you know, B was like going somewhere. I would take a wipe off Joan or, you know, wipe something off, and they're like, oh, what are you doing? We don't have time for this. But I know I'm not gonna let this walk out. I just can't. I'm not gonna play around with something that's not working. For example, can I use you for an example, please? So we have one of the most world famous chefs in the building, yes.
Chef Raphael
Yes.
Dutoye, guys.
And so like, has there ever been a situation where something was going out and you're like, you know what? I'd rather toss it than let this walk and hit the table. If you don't love it, if you're not loving it, if it doesn't seem like something that you are so proud of, I'm not gonna let it walk. I'm not. And has there been times that where they haven't liked it? And you know what? And if they haven't, I have enough humility to change it, you know, or like to alter it or whatever that looks like for the fashion director or the beauty director or the client, because it's not about me. It's not about my ego. As long as I know I did a good job with the application of it, if it's not something that they're vibing with, we got to change it.
Okay. Do we have any more questions?
But there has been a time, can I talk about a time where I did makeup for an event? There was the Met Ball 2016 or 17 or something like that, and the Beehive didn't like it. And I'm at dinner.
The Beehive came for you?
They came for me. They put my address on Twitter. Like they came for me. But in that time, you know, when I was at dinner and I started seeing all of these comments, like, where is he? He must hate her. We have to find him and obliterate him, someone said. But you know what? I didn't get upset. I didn't, you know, because what I realized in that moment is that it doesn't matter if someone gives you a compliment. A compliment is nice. Criticism is okay. But it comes from someone else's subjective standpoint of whatever, you know? And so, ladies or guys, a compliment should not move the needle emotionally inside, ever. A compliment is okay, or criticism, but they both come from the same place and they should never impact your sense of self. Either one of them.
I love that. I love that. Hi.
Hi, my name is Ope. So I have a question.
Yes.
What's one thing as a professional makeup artist that you
the brow
swear
pencil,
by in your kit? Like, if you forget it at home, you would go back and pick it.
Yeah.
What's that one thing?
Well, nowadays I travel with my own light, which I love, and I don't have that with me today, but so that would be one thing. Also, something I can't live without is Makeup Forever has an invisible loose powder I like to set concealer with. And so if I don't have that, I'm in a really bad place. Or possibly my bag of concealers. So for me, concealers, because I don't have to have foundation every day. Sometimes you don't have foundation, you can use concealer where you need to and go. So if I don't have my concealers, I'm in a bad place. If I don't have my brushes, I'm not gonna go to work.
Okay, so number 2 question. For an upcoming makeup artist, like you want to take makeup seriously, what would you advise for pricing? How would you advise people so you can get the right client? Because it's really difficult in Nigeria for people to see your worth. Your work might be great, but they're stuck on certain pricing that they just can't move. So how do you, when you decide maybe you're going to charge $100 per face, how do you attract clients that will pay you $100 and you're not going lower?
That's such a good question. And I'm gonna, can I get the highlighter? And I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna stop and talk with you more so I can pay more attention to you guys. But I wanna tell you something. That's a whole class in itself, okay? Is talking about you should never talk money. Never negotiated my own rate. I never asked clients for money specifically myself. Even when I was an assistant, even when I was 22, 23, I had someone else who I trusted. It doesn't matter if it's an accountant. It doesn't matter if somebody you know who works in marketing. To have someone else negotiate for you. You should only be talent. You should only show up and act like you don't know what's going on in terms of funding or money. And you should, and there'll never be that tug of war with you and the people who you're getting paid from. You should never. There should always be something between you guys. But if you have to talk about money, honestly, there's never a point where you should. Period. Unless it should never be that transactional. Unless you're working as a barber, unless you're working in a salon and you have to do something like that. But you should always have someone else seal the deal, finish it for you, make sure you have your flights and everything for you. And how do you negotiate your rates? You should start negotiating money depending on how much experience you have. So let's bring into the fact, how much experience do I have? And you got to be honest with yourself. I've only been in the business 1 year. I've only been assisting 2 years. I know what I'm doing. I've been here 10 years. Whatever that looks like, experience. How fast, how quick I am. What are they paying for in terms of the branding? In terms of like, are they paying for other clients that they know that I have as well? So there's so many different things that go into adding into, how much time does it take you to get off the market? Is it more impactful for you to stay at home with your son and your daughter than to go make $100? And that'll kind of tell you if this job is for me or not. And I'll tell you something else, guys. I've left my house for free so many times. When I say free, I believe in what I do. Like, I love what I do. I went and worked for photographers or for models, and there was no pay. I remember Joan would call me on jobs and like, can we just do this editorial? And it's not money. Yeah, okay, sure, let's do it. I just want some beautiful photos. But I either am full price or I'm free, but never at a discount. Just never go half rate on yourself. Either you're full rate or go out there for free because you believe in the project. Just never discount your work.
Hi. Hi,
Hey.
my name is Inyolua, and I wanted to ask, as an upcoming
One second.
makeup artist, everyone says your face is your market. So I want to ask, as a makeup artist, do I need to wear makeup all the time to promote my business, or just go barefaced?
No, you don't necessarily need to. Like, look at people like Pat McGrath. Pat doesn't wear makeup, If you're a hairstylist, yeah, your hair got to be together. I would say so. But if you're a makeup artist, I think you should invest in just making sure that you have beautiful skin, or making sure that you look, as long as you look clean, as long as you look groomed, it doesn't matter if you're wearing a look, as long as they can see it in your book. They should see it somewhere what you've done, and where that makes any sense. It doesn't have to be on you, but you just should look clean, professional, and and a sense of aspiration. Like, whoever you are, whatever that looks like. When I say aspiration can just be professional clothing, clean nails, hair that looks manicured. It doesn't have to be perfected, polished. You don't have to wear designer clothes. You don't have to spend a lot of money on yourself. You can wear an all-black uniform, if that makes any sense.
Okay, my second question. Are there any organic products you could recommend for, how do you say it, to like keep your skin intact, to avoid like being burnt by the sun?
I'm sorry, babe. I lost that because it's so loud over here. Can you tell me that one more time?
It is like very humid in Nigeria, in Lagos
It's
especially.
humid. It's humid. Yeah, it's humid
so
everywhere.
are there any organic products you can recommend to avoid being burnt by the sun?
For humidity, what can you do to cancel out the humidity? Is that what you want to know?
I think she's asking about
Yes.
humidity and getting sunburned.
Yes.
So like products
sunburn.
with SPF content.
I'm so glad you asked that. Can I say a wipe as well? Some wipes? I'm so glad you asked that because everyone needs sun protection. It doesn't matter if you're from Harlem or Hong Kong, you need sun protection. Because black don't crack, but it sags. Okay, and what that means is that you need to make sure that you're giving yourself something that protects you from sunspots, so you don't have discoloration. We are also susceptible to uneven pigmentation, so making sure that you're giving your skin something that allows it to live for a long time. Sunburn is real. Even though you guys are out here in you're very close to the equator, you should have sun protection in your skincare. Shiseido just came out with a foundation called Synchro Skin Foundation, and mind you, I don't work for them, but they have a beautiful foundation that is really, really great for women of color. For WOC, it's so good, and it has SPF 30. So I think it's something that you need to invest in. SPF is key. I would say that for sure. And also, if you're using, I get stuff done. I get like a microdermabrasion or a vampire facial or even a tiny bit of filler. And if you do, you need to make sure that you're protecting your skin from the sun.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, just a quick one because we want to go back to the makeup and round up really quick.
Sorry.
My final question. Are there any advice you would give concerning the face, like to avoid pimples, breakouts, anything to not eat or eat?
Okay, I think
like
you kind of answered that before, but...
To not eat, I think you should stay away from anything that's inflammatory. Like potato chips are inflammatory. Sodium, anything high in sodium. Salt is bad. Ladies, you can have a margarita, just don't have the salt around the rim. Like things like that makes your face retain a lot of water. So sodium is one of the worst things you can do to age your face. So a salty diet, a diet that's high in sodium, is going to be a recipe for disaster. You're going to look like a handbag in about 15 years. Sounds fine?
Okay, so let's go back to the look. Where are we now?
So right now I'm all over the place, but I'm going to wrap up with this and do a bit of a brow, and then I'm going to finish up. And mind you, this is not a super matte face. It's a little glowy on the sides of the face.
Dewy.
But if you notice, I don't do anything shiny in the front of the face. Ladies, this is a really cool tip you want to realize. It doesn't matter where you are, what part of the world you're in. Anything that you have that's shimmery in terms of blush or a highlighter should stop at the eyes. Anything that goes in front of your face, here on the apples of your cheeks, it looks unkept or greasy in photos. When we were doing Formation or Miss Carter's show or whatever tour, I always, she's glowy, glowy, glowy. But as soon as she turns into the camera, like here with the microphone, she's always matte in the T-zone. It doesn't matter what direction you catch her, you're not going to catch her really greasy in the wrong areas. So be strategic with your highlighter.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
So what are we going to do to round up the look?
So right now I'm going to give a super quick drive-through brow, and then I'm going to hopefully have at least another 2 minutes to chat with you, if that's possible. You guys so far so good?
Okay, anyone wants to ask? Just really short. One question, please. Okay.
Hello.
Hey.
My name is Dalia. Looking back at where you started, would you have ever thought that you would make it this far?
Honestly, I did. I know it sounds crazy. I have so much belief and faith in myself. I have faith in myself and faith in like the universe and law of attraction and manifesting. And when I say manifesting, like if you believe in, like when you go to McDonald's or Burger King or whatever you have here, when you go and you pay for something, you wait and you walk to the order. You pay for it. You walk to the line to go pick it up, but you don't doubt that it's coming. You know it's coming. So I had so much faith in the process that, mind you, I went through some hard times, some hard times in my 20s, But I just knew I was going to get there. I didn't know how. That's the frustrating part about your 20s and not knowing. But I had faith. I had a lot of faith.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're doing a very thin brow.
Yeah, I'm not doing a huge brow right now, only because of the simple fact of time. I wish I can give more than I'm giving, but I'm not.
Hello?
Hey.
Hi. My name is Edwina.
Hey, Edwina. How are you, bud?
Hello.
What's
you
up?
mentioned that you went to art school, so I'm guessing that you're passionate not just about the makeup, but about creating. And as someone who likes art myself, I've always thought that a face is kind of like a canvas or paper. So when you contour, it's kind of like shading in actual visual art. I wanted to ask if there were any techniques that you took from painting and drawing and transferred that into makeup.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you look at the way I've been applying blush, while I'm talking to you guys, the way I apply concealer, I even hold my brushes like ladies, when you hold your brushes, do you guys have pens in your hand? I'm not sure if you do. But if you hold, a lot of people hold their brushes like this. And it becomes stabby, it becomes too, you don't have any fluid, it's not fluid at all. So hold your brushes, the farther back you hold your brush, the more fluid it will be, the softer the application process, the more forgiving your hand will be. So get in a habit of actually holding your brushes a bit more delicately will give you a softer application process, if that makes any sense.
Like a paintbrush.
Like a paintbrush. And also layering colors, creating a story. Like there's no difference between the way I'm painting the blush on her face or a painting,
Okay, so let's try to finish the look really quick.
Hi.
Hey.
All right, my name is Anna.
Hi.
All right, my question is, new trends come into the industry like time to time. What existed in a decade ago is not what is existing right now. Okay. So I want to ask, how do you update your skills? How do you keep up? How do you learn these new skills?
Okay. All right. Hold on one sec. Can I get that palette from Anastasia? It's a brow shadow palette. It's like in there somewhere, please. Okay, cool. So you want to know how do I? It's like it's a shadow palette. Hey, Christina, can you come here, please? Okay, cool.
Okay, so we'll take one more
Yeah.
question after that.
So we're wondering how do I stay current? I'm always a student. I don't profess to be a black belt. If you're a black belt, you can't learn anything. There's too much arrogance at the black belt level, even though I think I know what I'm doing. But I want to stay a white belt because I'm still open to like new trends. I watch YouTube. I look at what's happening across the table. Even though I'm a makeup artist working in fashion and beauty and entertainment, I still look at influencers. I still look at YouTubers. Like, why are they so popular? What's happening with them where this massive amount of attention is around the influencers right now? It's because of the engagement they have. It's because someone really believes in the process. You know. So for me, you never stop learning. And then whenever you stop learning, you should put whatever you're doing down. Whenever you feel like you know everything there is to know about the business, you're no longer useful, you know? That's just my opinion, though. That's it.
Hello.
Hello. Last question, please, and just like super, super quick.
Okay, my name is Oriolua. I want to ask, what like skincare recommendation can you give to someone that has a dry skin and a polished face?
Okay.
A dry skin skincare solution would be using aloe, things that are calming to the skin, a lot of mask oils at nighttime. Dry skin is a good problem to have in the sense where, because oily skin is the problem. Oily skin is the demon you want to keep in the cage, if that makes any sense. Anyone who oily skin knows that, right? But when you have dry skin, you can layer more moisturizer on. Only thing you have to be careful of is making sure that products you use are okay for sensitive skin, because sensitive skin and dry skin are kind of the same. But if you have dry skin, just layer more products, more emollient products. Stay away from just fine mists and anything that's going to dry your face out. Also, stay away from chemicals. I hate to say this, the glycolics and the salicylics and things like that. You might want to stay away from.
Yeah. Okay, so can we get like the roundup of what we've done on
Yeah,
the face?
I think the roundup is we kind of walked through the roundup, and I'm just basically putting a few finishing touches on the brow with powder. Mind you, I can't finish like the way I want to because of whatever. But you guys get the gist of it.
Yeah, I think we kind of get the idea.
All right, so I think we're in a good place, and I'm basically gonna wrap this up. I'm not gonna do a nose contour or anything else like that right now because I just don't have time, and I'm not even gonna do mascara because I don't have time. But you guys get it. Yeah. Can I get a what? Can I ask you a question? I want to ask a question or two to the audience. So, guys, what's the biggest thing that you guys think is happening in the beauty industry that you want to embrace, you want to rally around? Is there any newness, anything happening cool right now that you feel like you're happy that you're in the game now and not yesteryear or not tomorrow? Anybody? What's up? Hey. Hi. Hey.
Hello. Hello. I like the fact that it's the makeup industry, the beauty industry is more inclusive of black people.
Who said that? Stand up. Oh, okay, cool. Hi. Sorry.
It's more inclusive of black people.
Yeah.
Like when you look at Rihanna's makeup and a couple of the stars and makeup, those in the makeup beauty industry, they're more inclusive of black people,
Absolutely.
putting black people out there, creating products that will be good for us and have us out there. That's what I really like, and I would like to be in on that as well.
Yeah, but to your point, can I speak to that? I think, listen, like I said earlier, this is the golden age of that, diversity and inclusion. Women of color, it's been a long journey, like, to the point where you go in department stores and the products for women of color were always on the bottom. They were never at eye level, you had your own little niche area of, now it's come to the mainstream that, your products are right next to Pantene, your products are not right next to things that are for the majority. So it feels like a good time. It feels like we're celebrating each other. It feels like we're rallying around each other. I've also seen less women hating on other women. And nowadays, everyone seems like they're just one fabric or network of just love, And I think social media, you should accredit that to social, not the business. You have to really give yourself a pat on the back for that what propelled that forward.
Okay, Awesome, awesome, awesome. So
Yeah.
any closing remarks before we before we
No,
end
it's
the
just
class?
good to be here. Thank you,
Yeah.
Nigeria. Thank you, Lagos. And that's it.
Everybody,
you.
Sir John.